Welcome to our channel. Lots of summaries of interesting films. Keep it updated. Press subscribe and turn on notifications. To support us, you can like and share our videos. Enjoy watching.
Since the beginning of time, Titans have emerged from the earth and engaged in combat while the whole human race has watched in awe. The champion Rayburn and his trainer Jimbo Coyle were the hometown heroes of monster wrestling, which is currently based in Stoker-upon-Avon. Sadly, Jimbo and Rayburn died at sea, stripping Stoker of his heroes. The wrestling matches take held in Stoker's Stadium, where Tentacular, a shark monster who is trained by Jimbo's protege Siggy Martin, is the current champion. The majority of the community turns out to witness him battle the enormous bulldog monster King Gorge. Winnie, Jimbo's daughter, shares her father's zeal and is a huge monster wrestling fan. King Gorge is defeating Tentacular in the bout, but Winnie realizes that Gorge has a tell. He licks his lips before landing a blow. Tentacular observes it and takes advantage of it, keeping his title. After the game, he tells Stoker that he is moving to another town, therefore their hometown is now without a hero. The mayor calls everyone together and sends a councilwoman to inform them that without a champion monster, wrestling competitions are impossible and that maintaining the stadium will cost them money. Jimothy Brett Chadley III, a wealthy jackass, wants to demolish the stadium and build a parking lot instead. Winnie journeys to the town of Pittsmore, where they lost their monster champion and hold illegal monster battles in an abandoned warehouse, despite the fact that everyone else seems to have given up and her own mother Maggie advising her not to go to all the bother. There, Winnie tries to enlist the help of a number of accomplished monster wrestlers, but they just laugh her out. Soon after, Winnie meets Steve, who she knows as Rayburn's son from their shared childhood. He competes in illegal wrestling contests and must lose every night. Winnie keeps trying to catch his attention, but she has no idea that Steve is supposed to lose to Clonk so that Lady Mayhem, their mistress, is delighted. Steve is unintentionally knocked out by Winnie, costing Lady Mayhem her entire night's earnings. She warns Steve that failure to do so will result in severe penalties. Steve unwillingly follows Winnie despite his disinclination to do so and then goes back to Stoker. Early in the morning, Winnie tries to train Steve, but when Steve gets to the gym, he remembers his father opposing his preference for dancing over wrestling. Before he finds a mate, he won't engage in any real training. Later, Winnie brings him to a cargo ship where monster fights are held, where he engages Ramarilla in combat. Steve makes an effort after she tells him it's winner takes all, and he won't be paid if he loses. He rushes around as directed by Winnie until Ramarilla begins to become exhausted, and Steve ultimately prevails. However, due to how uninteresting it was, sports pundits like Mark Remy and Lights Out McNulty believe the game to be among the worst ever. Winnie keeps putting Steve through rigorous physical training, but in the end, he realizes he can't be precisely like his father, which is why he initially left Stoker. Soon after seeing Steve's love of dancing, Winnie tries to incorporate his dances into his combat techniques. They start competing in matches where Steve uses his dance moves to win. Whether this is a novel strategy or just mindless showboating is debatable among viewers. Winnie discovers that the mayor and councilwoman are getting ready to sign over the stadium to Jimothy as she attempts to get Steve to battle King Gorge. The purchase of the stadium was masterminded by Tentacular, who later admitted that he was willing to have the stadium demolished in order to ruin his legacy because he believes Rayburn will always be regarded as superior to him. Winnie and Steve feel defeated as a result of this. Steve comes to Pittsmore, eager to resume his unfulfilling work, carrying the money for Lady Mayhem. He finds images of himself and his father having fun together in his locker. Though, right before the game, when Steve discovers Winnie and Stoker again, a crowd has gathered to see Tentacular blow it up. Steve then brings Winnie to the stadium. Just as it is about to happen, Steve rips off the explosive connections, enters the arena, introduces himself as Rayburn Jr., and issues a fight challenge to Tentacular in an effort to save the stadium. Tentacular agrees to the fight despite Lady Mayhem, the media, and fans all being in awe of Steve's true identity. Steve has more assistance than previously when Winnie returns to his training. The big games night finally comes. Winnie gives Steve a motivating coach speech to help him overcome his anxiety and doubt that he can carry on his father's legacy. The first round of the fight is less than exciting because Steve is able to avoid Tentacular's attacks by dancing. Tentacular is able to land more blows in the second round as he counters Steve's dance movements. Siggy tries to persuade Winnie to give up because Tentacular is capable of easily destroying Steve. She almost goes along with it since she doesn't want to see him get wounded, but Steve gets up and tells her they just need a different approach. While giving it his best in the third round, Steve pulls off a high enough jump to land on Tentacular, but they wind up knocking each other out. They both appear to be in bad shape. But Steve eventually recovers and becomes the new victor. Tentacular is carried away in shame, but Siggy commends Winnie and thinks she's a brilliant coach, just like her father was. The crowd erupts in jubilation, as Lady Mayhem displays pride in Steve. Everyone throws a dance celebration to celebrate saving the stadium. Later, to celebrate, Steve and Winnie indulge in ice yogurt, but they overindulge and become ill.